Recently, I finished a short film with my friend Michaela Geyer, who is a dancer, artist, actress, and just really talented person, to promote her new EP that's coming out. I wanted to just share some of my tips for filmmaking by yourself and just break down the process. This will be a 3-part series on the film. This one covering the story and ideation. The second episode will be about the production, a little bit of pre-production and behind the scenes cinematography. And the third part will be about our post-production. So keep an eye out for the other two and let me know what you think. The film depicts Michaela's story coming up through the cutthroat ballet world, overcoming an eating disorder, and then finding a healthy way to combine all her passions together into her music. So where we started with this was just getting the story out on a couple of phone calls. We had to just learn the story for what it was. I had asked Michaela to write down her story as if it were like a journal entry or like a diary entry, almost like a Wikipedia page about yourself. Once we had a fairly long body of text, I then had to just reduce the story down and make a story out of it. It can be really overwhelming to sort through all that raw information, so there were 2 concepts that really helped me organize all of it and ultimately end up at a script. I used pretty much the most basic story structure when faced with this big body of notes that I had to make into a story. And a lot of times this is called the monomyth or the hero's journey. You can look it up. It's one of the most common story structures there is, and it acted as kind of like a North Star for what to keep and like what to get more information about. So what a hero's journey story is where you have a character that faces a conflict and then they have to overcome that conflict and arrive at a resolution or a victory. At the end of the day, this structure will help you organize your information and actually make a story out of it. It can be difficult to narrow down which elements that you'll keep or cut when reducing your story. So the other thing that really helped us out was just determining the theme of the film. So where a story structure is kind of like a roadmap, it all has to serve something. So that's what your theme will be. It basically acts as like a measuring stick or like a metric that you can compare everything against. Like, does this serve this theme? Does this information, does this side story, does it serve the theme that we've just determined? For this film, our theme was pressure, and throughout all of Michaela's life, she's facing pressure and is needing to overcome that pressure in all these different areas of her life. There was a lot of information there, so it was really easy to, once we had a theme to compare everything against that, it really helped out with a film that was this short. One priority for this film is that it was tailored for social media from the beginning. So we knew that we wanted to be hook driven and the beginning had to be really grabbing and accessible for everyone. We wanted it to have fast cuts and just really roll forward in a way that feels not rushed, but just rolling. The way that this film starts is with Michaela's 113-year-old great grandmother, which we thought would just be accessible to anyone watching. Like, she's the oldest person in Canada. Like, what is this? Like, just a very like easy way for people to get interested. And it was just something that was part of her life that was just really interesting. So we decided to lead with that. So we had a story that was fine on the page, but that's different than a script. So one key collaborator that we brought in early on was a writer who helped us take our story, which is kind of written, organized, structured the way we wanted to. And then the next step was to turn that into a script that's interesting and that has good dialogue. M was the writer on this film that helped us with the script, and I put her tag below so you can check her out. She is incredible. So this film is all narrated by Michaela, and we were checking out like cold open sequences, narrated films, and stuff by like Edgar Wright to get this kind of like visual comedy, snappy kind of film language that we really liked. One challenge that was unique to this project was getting the script to sound like Michaela. Like, she has such an established voice online, and she just has such a casual and authentic way that she talks. And it was super important that our film sounded just like that, because that's like what her audience knows her for. And again, it's so established that you have like an existing style that you're emulating, right? And what happened a lot of the times was Em and I would be working on the script draft, and then we'd send it to Michaela, and a lot of times she would just rewrite the entire thing in her voice, and it worked really well that way. So, you know, we were kind of like the bowling rails, like on the sides of the lanes, and then Michaela was like the ball, where, you know, she's not a writer or a writer for screen, and I don't think she should be held to that. But what she does have is a very good grasp on her language and how she delivers. So it was just a great workflow to arrive at that, so that it connected. The story is like a retelling of like different episodes from different eras of her life. And something early on that we knew that we couldn't do was do these like reenactments and like, you know, period specific, you know, get like an actor for Michaela age 8 or whatever. It was just not feasible for our budget. So our style was to kind of create these like stylized depictions of the eras instead of having it be literal. We latched on to the emotions that she was feeling at the time, and that was something that we could generate visuals for instead of being literal. So one example is like, instead of saying, when I decided to quit ballet school, it was super hurtful, blah, 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 we instead would redo the script to say something like, when I quit ballet school, the pain cut through me like a hot knife through butter, or something. And when you a line like that inspires like, okay, well, we could be scrappy about this and get like a stick of butter on a table and kind of be a little more playful with it, a little more stylized. And you don't even have to show what it is literally, because you just interpreted the emotion of what's happening. So our film is like, it's kind of this like quilt of even like single shots that are appropriated to the lines, or like kind of everything is curated like exactly to the line. So it kind of has this like very juxtaposed, very stylized vibe to it that we just were in love with. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for anyone that is interested in storytelling or ideating, coming up with ideas for films. In the next episode, we'll be talking more about like the cinematography, and anyone that's into production might be into that one. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.